how
there.
unfocused I am right now. I forgot exactly what I just said.
Why don't you choose a time when you would like to feel
what I meant
better?
by that was I'm unsure what the system you're teaching us has to say about it.
Gotcha. The system is still in the works, and it is up for total renovation by anyone who hears about it, including me. Just so you know. The idea is as far in the future as it takes for you to believe it's possible. If it's a specific date, like I had an event I wanted to go to and it happened to be on a full moon in a particular month, then that was the date I chose. And it was a month ahead. If it had been 2 days from then, I would have known I couldn't get tickets and plane tickets, and I wouldn't have even tried. So it needs to be believable to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's actually very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. So we'll go back to our example of a week in the future. A point at which you know that you'll be hanging out with friends or exercising, or you'll be in a space where you will likely come into the visceral understanding, realization, awareness that you are healthy and you're not dead, and this is awesome. Appreciation is the key. You want to make sure that you map to a point where you are in appreciation in the realization of the attainment of the exact resonance match, where you are appreciative that you have become the person to which this has happened. Is this making sense? Is there anybody that this is not making sense to? So when you are going to be picking out a time, my time that I chose, it was in the dark. I had no idea what hotel I'd be staying at. I knew there was going to be a fire circle. I knew it was going to be outside, and I knew it was in Mount Shasta where they had pine trees. And so I added those particular things into the moment because I knew that I could anchor to them. I knew that they would be there. I didn't know what they would exactly be like, but I could imagine them. I could just, put pictures of pine trees up or go out and visit pine trees nearby and just smell them as an anchor point to get into the resonance of this is what it's like to experience a pine tree. Getting closer, but we'll talk more about that later. So what you're doing is you're seeking a positive anchor point for your relationship with time, place, people. So if you can actually experience there being people around that you are expecting to have around, that's awesome. Particular time, like a week from now, or something that you really believe in. And a place that you know is helpful. For me, being in the forest in the dark, I'd been to California, so I knew what that was like. Enough that I could imagine it, much more than a random hotel. There's, it's too bright. There's too many different options that, for me, to be able to imagine it visually. The key of the point that you choose in the future, and for more on future timeline jumping, you can look up the Hathors, Hathors. It's TomKenyon.com. They have timeline jumping. Really great how-to manual on it that's free on their site, along with a guided meditation to teach you how to do it and walk you through it. It's awesome. But basically, the idea is you want to pick a point in time where you will feel excitement, joy, connection, visceral appreciation. Again, appreciation is a huge one when it comes to anchoring in the creation of a particular resonance. So I got another story for you. This is a story of something else I created. Any questions on what the little, that we just covered? Anything else that needs a little more clarification before I move on with more clarification?
Makes sense, Tom.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. Anybody else? Cool. So this is the story of how I created my car. So I wanted a car. I didn't have a car. I didn't want a new car. I wanted an old car. I wanted a car that was a little bit up off the ground because I had some knee issues. So I wanted it to be a RAV4 is what I settled on, a Toyota RAV4. this would be my very first car, so I wanted a beater car, basically. One that was, like, nice, it ran well, but I wouldn't feel bad if I, bumped a fender or something like that. I just wanted it to be a first car, if that makes sense. So I decided that I'd like it to be in the year range of 97. And this was back in 2008? Wait, no, not 2008. I was 28. Numbers are good. So I was 28 years old. I'm just learning to drive. This is my very first car, and that's a long, long story all by itself. So don't ask. I'll tell you later if you want to know. But yes, I did not learn how to drive until I was 28. So 97 RAV4. That's what I wanted. Didn't really care what color. I wanted it to run really well, but I didn't really care if it was in perfect shape. I actually preferred that it wasn't in perfect shape, so I wouldn't feel bad about the perfect paint job getting it scratched, whatever. So I didn't care about the color. I cared about the type, wanted a RAV4. 97 seemed like a good year, but it could be in there, Price range for going around for that kind of thing was between $6,000 and $12,000, depending on how many miles were on it, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, all right, so I want a 97 RAV4, kind of beaten up, but still runs really well. I want to pay the lowest price. I want to pay $6,000. So I didn't care what color it was. So I gave a range, is the key here. It gives you and the universe wiggle room. Anytime you feel any doubt about your creation, it kind of throws the resonance that's in you off. You doubt yourself, and you kind of get this weird, kind of a strange, kind of bubbly feeling of just energy going anti-resonance. If you've ever, let's see, spun, like you're, okay, how about you have a bowl and there's water in it or something like that, or soup or in a pot or whatever, and you're spinning it with a spoon. You are stirring it and it starts a vortex going. And you start to run the spoon backwards all of a sudden. You'll notice that there's a blurbly, bubbly kind of a, just all the soup and the water, whatever, goes against the spoon for a moment. It'll take a moment before you can start it going the other direction. So you've got some lay time. You've got some time where it's bumping up against that spoon of doubt, going in the opposite direction of the resonance that you want to create, to correct yourself. But you don't want to doubt like crazy. So in both time and detail, make sure you give yourself enough wiggle room that you're not doubting like mad. So every time you doubt, you push the spinning of your own resonance coming into being of who you are a little bit off. Does it do something that you can believe in, basically? This making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Doug.
Go ahead.
This is Doug. Yes, it does make sense.
Okay, cool. So map your sequence around the details. So you get a pen and paper out. I did this to summon my husband as well, by the way. It worked really well. Price range. For my car, price, my husband didn't have a price, so he's priceless. But for the car manifestation, I set a price range, I set a year range, I set a type and a color, and a type of, how exactly beat up it was or how beautifully perfect it was, just kind of a range. I'd take the perfect car, but I wanted it to be at a low price. Ranges. Give yourself wiggle room to create in so that you don't doubt. So you map your sequence around the details, and this is the whole thing that you were asking about, Karen, regarding imagination. You can use that in a way to give yourself a sense of it. Everybody has their own set of tools here. It's not that you have to imagine it in high-def surround sound 3D detail. Mm-hmm. You can mentally, any way that you feel like it, tap into various details. In whatever way you do. This is basically a new earth set of skills. Everybody is going to be able to do this. It's just a matter of tuning into yourself and what your strengths are. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So mapping your sequence around the details that you've chosen and make one that's full of opportunities for resonance matches and anchor points that denote time, place, and people in conjunction with joy and appreciation. So in other words, to create this car, first of all, I knew I was going to be going somewhere, and I'd have to get a ride from my husband if I didn't have a car by then, and I really wanted one. It was 3 weeks in the future. And I knew that, and once again, the dark thing worked really well. So once again, I went for doing it in the dark. So I imagined myself driving home from the place where I knew that this was going to take place. I had been to this person's house before where they were going to be holding the conference. And the conference I went to, for anyone who's interested, is Rose Tree's Empathic Intensive. She lives in Sterling, and it was an amazing experience. So she's at rosetree.com or something like that, and did the book Empowered by Empathy. So I knew I was going to be going to that, and I decided, all right, I'm going to be driving home. And I'm going to be feeling really good, and I'm going to be looking out over a dashboard, because I'm going to be in the car. Because I don't want to really get too fixated on the color, and I don't want to get too fixated on anything about it. So it's going to be a slightly dark experience. I'm going to have my hands on the wheel. I'm going to be experiencing, opening the windows, and I want it to have a moonroof. Darn it. That was the one thing I would not slide on. I really wanted a moonroof. So I'm going to imagine the moonroof's open, and I'm opening the moonroof in my 5 or 10 second sequence. 3 weeks from this point, driving home from Sterling to Reston, where I live. And it's going to be just a feeling of satisfaction. And then I'm going to have the experience of, whoa, wow, this is the moment. I made a moment. This is great. So there's excitement, there's joy, there's a sense of accomplishment and appreciation. There's details of the dashboard, but I have the price, the year, the type, everything in there is already, it's holding the resonance kind of like as an anchor point that it exists. It has been done in a way. It has already been chosen. The imagined experience of it happening is just the extra, just the add-on, just the nice little let's all wrap it together in an appreciation point. So the anchor points I had in time and place and people, because I knew where I was going to be going, and the experience of joy and appreciation. That was the resonance of I'm driving the car, and this is in the future, and this is awesome, and I did it. And of course, that is 100% exactly what happened. The way that I anchored it in, I'm going to go into that next, the way that I created it in my life. Any questions or want any clarifications on what I just shared there?
So, Karen, again, I'm just thinking, because I was doing this actually last night, because I was trying to picture my boyfriend coming here from California, but I was getting bogged down in, I could get to the gate, because I have my pass and I could meet him there, or maybe I should meet him in baggage claim. I think that's my problem, is maybe I'm getting too detailed.
Yeah. Do it in the dark. see him already there.
Dark. Oh, he's already there, yes.
Yeah, you don't need to be in the airport. See him, you're already there, you are, who knows, you're in bed, or whatever, you're sitting at a table. Might as well just go for it. And you're talking, and you feel this real connection with this person that you've come to know, and it's awesome, and it feels great, and it's just amazing. I mean, wow, you created this.